Good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani. This is the Rudy Giuliani Show on Lindell TV and on X. Well, today, after a lot of debate, a lot of struggle, a lot of compromise, and still a lot ahead, a major milestone was passed in getting, shall we call it the Big Beautiful Bill passed? The Big Beautiful Bill, of course, is the budget bill, the reconciliation bill. And it has to be passed according to the reconciliation process, because if it isn't, then it needs 60 votes in the Senate to avoid cloture. I know you're all probably familiar with this now. This happens so often. At first, it always seemed a little confusing. But I remember in the old days when they actually had real filibusters. And this avoids the filibuster, the 60 votes. It also means on very, very major social changing legislation, you should get 60 votes. Now, that's been dishonored, or honor to the breach, one would say, right? Don't think Obama got 60 votes for Obamacare. We'll go back and check. He should have. This reconciliation process only applies to spending bills, and you have to find cuts for the spending that you initiate, and they have to pass the budget office checkmark. So that's where they are now. The Senate passed it by a few votes, maybe one or two, I don't remember, on yesterday or the day before. The House passed it by one vote today, but it could have passed by 100. Doesn't matter. So now it goes back to both, actually, for changes. But the changes have to be made within the structure of the bill, and they have to be savings that are going to have to be found for the additional spending. This increases spending quite dramatically on, as we should, on our military, so we can start the process of catching and overwhelming the red Chinese homicidal monsters. It also has other areas for law enforcement and for immigration, so that we can stop the slaughter that's going on in the United States of our innocent people. Other than that, it basically holds the line on everything else, and it does some spending cuts. The big debate here was the House wanted much bigger cuts. They said, if we're ever going to get the cut, we got to cut now. The Senate said you're never going to get the tax package through. I can't tell you who was right. I think I know. So I think the safer course here was to get the tax package through. Spending, tax reduction. I know spending is very tough. We got to lower it. We will. But that tax cut, what would happen is if the tax cut expired, we get hit with one of our biggest tax increases ever, because it was one of our biggest tax cuts ever. How would you like that as your Christmas present? Look at what the economy is doing over this bullshit of tariffs, which affects something like, 5% of our economy, 8% of our economy. Tariffs don't mean shit, really. Taxes do. We've had 3 major tax cuts in my lifetime, and I can tell you, as a Democrat for one of them and a Republican for 2. They work. Kennedy got us a great long run of prosperity with his tax cuts. Reagan, same thing, and Trump, the same thing. This will be a major part of, as he likes to say, the golden age. So today was a very, very busy day in the White House. Very exciting thing to see, an entire cabinet meeting. For me, it's like deja vu all over again. I used to attend, not all, but some of them with Bill Smith when Ronald Reagan was president, including the one on the air traffic controllers and the one on increasing the size of drug enforcement, a whole bunch of them. I remember almost every minute of it. And I don't want to suggest that I'm demeaning it in any way, but this was a very good thing to do. It was a bit of a show and tell. Each one of the cabinet members got to say what was most important to them. Most of the American people have no idea who these people are. That's terrible. You can go through a whole Biden administration. Some of those people I don't even think they existed. I don't think I've ever seen this before. John Kennedy regularly had cabinet meetings. Lyndon Johnson regularly had cabinet meetings. Ronald Reagan had two types of cabinet meetings. He had a cabinet committee and cabinet meetings. The Bushes had cabinet meetings. Clinton had cabinet meetings. Obama did, and Biden really didn't. And this was very good. Every one of them got to introduce themselves to the American people. And it was quite encouraging, because what a hell of an intelligent group of people. So I think we have Carol with us, who was at the White House today. There she is, Kara.
Hey, how are you, Mr. Mayor?
What, do they close down and throw you out?
It's getting pretty, a lot of people left today, but we're here. Definitely. I definitely want to be on to give you the report from today, and especially talk about that cabinet meeting. It was, in my opinion, an exciting one, especially what Tulsi Gabbard said. I don't know if you saw that, what she said about the voting machines.
I did see her.
Yeah, she mentioned the voting machines. It was, and she said that the voting machines, they have evidence that they were vulnerable to hackers and to exploitation to manipulate results. So this is coming from the director of the intelligence now saying this. So that's exciting news, because everybody knows that 2020 election really just went uninvestigated. So hopefully this will actually expose some of the things that a lot of us were saying back then, the questions that we had, both you and I and other journalists that actually were reporting the truth, and hopefully finally will be vindicated.
I heard from a source from another network that they, several weeks ago, began an investigation of the voting machine companies. And a lot of it revolves around one very obvious piece of evidence. Their manual contradicts what they've been saying. They keep saying you can't enter the machine with the internet. Toward the end of the manual, they show you how to do it.
Right.
And then they say you can't change the vote. And you can, because they allow partial source voting, or what do you call that thing that stupid thing where nobody ever knows who really wins? Rank choice, like in New York. Yes.
So I think if you want to check out that clip, Mr. Mayor, I do too. Do you want to see the clip? I have it for you of Tulsi. It's really short, but I think it's really powerful. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. No problem.
We have the best of the best going after this. Election integrity being one of them. We have evidence of how these electronic voting systems have been vulnerable to hackers for a very long time, and vulnerable to exploitation to manipulate the results of the votes being cast, which further drives forward your mandate to bring about paper ballots across the country so that voters can have faith in the integrity of our elections.
Kara, that's absolutely true. Yeah, 2 years before the election, you could have had Amy Klobuchar saying that on a documentary. Remember? Even Bernie Sanders. They were all upset about how you could change the vote, and then they all ran.
Right.
But we're going to have to change that if we want to have fair elections. So what else is going on?
Yeah, definitely.
What else is going on?
From what I understand, the House, and I wasn't there at the Congress today, but I think the House passed a bill requiring voter ID. So I guess that goes to the Senate next. So everything really does seem to be going in favor of election integrity, thank God, with the 47th president, Donald Trump. And I think for us, it's pretty surreal to see a former Democrat like Tulsi Gabbard actually standing up for election integrity and saying that those voting machines were questionable. And then speaking of former Democrats, Robert Kennedy Jr. also today left an impression on me, and so did President Trump, who really agreed with him that they really need to get to the bottom of autism. And he made it a point to say so at that cabinet meeting. Robert Kennedy Jr. really just speaking about he wishes that some of these children that are getting autism and some of these children that have childhood obesity would get the same press that these 1 or 2 children that allegedly died of measles are getting. And, so that I think was a really standout clip from today. So I have that clip too as well, if you want to check it out.
I do. I was I was also very impressed, Kara, with how sensitive the president was about his father's assassination. He said
Yes,
this might be
yes, he
harmful.
was.
This might be very hurtful for Bobby, but I know he wants it. Isn't that true,
Right, at
Bobby?
Tulsi
And Bobby,
Gabbard. Yeah, yep. You're right.
she
You
she said
watched
the
the whole
same
thing,
thing
I
too.
see.
I thought it was very sweet that they had that. Immediately they had that instinctual feeling this is going to be tough for him, a lot tougher than us.
Of
I thought that was
course.
very
Of
nice.
course it will be. And I can't wait to see. So Tulsi Gabbard also today, as you mentioned, she announced that within a few days, just a few days, the Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. Files will be released regarding their assassinations. I hope they're not really redacted. I hope they're in full, complete, detail, because I'm very interested to see those files. So Tulsi also announced that today. So that's something we're looking forward to. But definitely, I want you to see this clip from Robert Kennedy Jr. today, speaking about his initiative he said by September, he will have an answer for the president about the autism epidemic.
And we're trying to refocus the press. We've had 3 measles deaths in this country over 20 years. And we're trying to refocus the press to get them to pay attention to the chronic disease epidemic as you've asked us to. We have now 38% of American youth are pre-diabetic. This was unknown 30 years ago. Every child that becomes diabetic, there should be a headline about them. We have 100 million adults who are pre-diabetic or diabetic. And we have, we have now the autism rates have gone from now most recent numbers we think are going to be about 1 in 31, 1 in 12, so they're going up again from 1 in 10,000 when I was a kid. And we are going, at your direction, we are going to know by September. We've launched a massive testing and research effort that's going to involve hundreds of scientists from around the world. By September, we will know what has caused the autism epidemic, and we'll be able to eliminate those exposures.
So big. Think of that. So it was 1 in 10,000 children had autism, and now it's 1 in 31. Not 31,000, 31. That's a horrible statistic, isn't it? And there's got to be something artificial out there that's doing this. So you think you're going to have a pretty good idea, huh?
We will know by September.
There will be no bigger news conference than that. So that's it. If you can come up with that answer where you stop taking something, you stop eating something, or maybe it's a shot, but something's causing it. It can't be from 10,000 to. Can you imagine that, Martha? That's a big number. Thank you very much. You're doing great. Thank you, Bobby.
These people are doing, I mean, the whole press conference, every one of them is doing something extraordinarily significant. I thought a couple of them would do like a little bit of a silly report on something.
Right.
They all were very impressive. They were all very impressive. We should be very happy with this administration, with the amount of work they're doing. My goodness, they're all very competent people.
Right. And they're all doing the things that they said they were and the things that they ran on. I mean, obviously, Kennedy's big thing was getting to the bottom of the autism and the childhood obesity epidemic and why are Americans so unhealthy. And, Tulsi Gabbard with the transparency and intelligence and just all of these cabinet members. Lee Zeldin from Long Island, I'm impressed with his work here down. I'm pleasantly surprised, actually, with everything he's been doing at the Environmental Protection Agency. He's been doing great things, especially with exposing all the waste that the Biden administration was just wasting taxpayer dollars with all their ridiculous green energy or whatever it is that they're trying to pull over the eyes of the public with their environmentalism that's fake. So I think he's doing a great job, and he's teaming up. Actually, he announced today, Robert Kennedy Jr. together to really get to the bottom of fluoride, which is proven actually to really lower the IQ of people and children that are drinking it. And as you know, that's in New York City water. That's in the water pretty much around the United States for no reason whatsoever. It doesn't do anything to the water. So really the question is, why are they adding fluoride to the drinking water? That should be optional. If people want to put fluoride in their water, they should be able to just drop a tablet into a glass. It shouldn't be forced upon people. So that's
Absolutely.
something that is, yeah. So that's something they talked about at the cabinet meeting as well.
Well, these are all important topics. They haven't been taken up in years. And he's got a group of very, very brave and very, very good people who are doing it. And we should be very fortunate. We are very fortunate to have this. Well,
100%.
great job.
Yes.
And I know it's freezing, so go get warmed up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Take care,
I'll see you
Kara.
soon.
We're going to
Okay.
take a short
Have a good
break,
night.
and we'll be right back.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to MyPillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free. Have you ever wondered what happened to the legendary Chuck Norris? Well, I recently saw a video he made and I was shocked. That guy's amazing and he's staying active well into his 80s. What's even more shocking is he's stronger, can work out longer, and even has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids. He did this by just making one change. He says he still feels like he's in his 50s. His wife even started doing this one thing too, and she's never felt better. She says she feels 10 years younger, her body looks leaner, and she has energy all day. Chuck made a very special video that explains everything. Make sure you watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/Lindell. It will change the way you think about your health. Once again, that's chuckdefense.com/Lindell. You won't believe how simple it is.
That Mike is a hell of a salesman. He's got me interested in that. I think it would get me over my cold. What do you think? In fact, whatever it is, I wonder what it is.
I'm going to Chuck
thing.
Defense. What is it? ChuckDefense.com?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think they'll even tell you what it is. Well, today we had a terrible tragedy in New York. 6 people dead in a helicopter crash. 6 Spanish tourists to New York. 2 children, 3 adults, and the pilot. We have more of it than this. This is the one I happen to have that I can show you.
Oh, they're showing.
Let's see. Here we go.
It's playing right now.
There we are. You see it?
Yeah, it's playing right now on the.
Oh, is it playing there? Okay, I don't need it on there then. Okay. Look at that. Now that is the Hudson River. I'm going to say it looks like the Hoboken side, and right near the air duct for the Holland Tunnel. The police and fire marine units were out there immediately. But with the way the helicopter went in, you see that, doesn't give you a lot of hope. that hit very, very hard. It's the difference between an airplane and a helicopter crashing. Airplanes tend to glide. Helicopters fall right down. Fall right down. The mayor of Hoboken, I believe, said he wishes this would stop what has been an increase in a tremendous amount of helicopter traffic around New Jersey and New York. I must say, I agree with the mayor. I did when I was the mayor. I didn't like a lot of helicopter traffic around my city. Thought my city was too crowded for it. I thought people would take too many chances. And there's one thing, there should never be one pilot in a helicopter. I mean, in an airplane, there never should be one pilot, a private airplane. But if there are a couple of people in the airplane, you have a chance of being talked down on an airplane. The chance is probably 25%. No chance to talk you down in a helicopter. First of all, it tends to get out of control right away. And second, to teach you it would take hours. And so it is a dangerous instrument. My police commissioner, Howard Safer, every time we would go on it, and we used it a lot for emergencies, and this is a Marine, a tough guy, would say, we're taking a chance with our lives, Mayor. So I don't have the names. I do believe they're all dead. They were from Spain. And we'll have to find out what happened. You can see the helicopter just went out of control. As I understand it, it took off from Lower Manhattan, which is the place where the president lands when he comes to New York from Kennedy. And it went all the way up to the George Washington Bridge. And it was on its way back down when this happened. Well, it's really amazing how the press is painting this brilliant strategy of the president, and flipping this whole thing on a dime. And the idea is, he just made it up as he was going along. Well, first of all, that's what a great leader does. A great leader does things on instinct that nobody else can quite understand until it turns out to be successful. Having written a book about this, let me give you a couple of examples. MacArthur had to take over in Korea when the North Korean army and the Chinese communists had driven South Korea down to the tip of South Korea and had taken over and occupied all of Korea, which would have then been a communist country. MacArthur got a significant number of new troops, and of course, he was planning to march up the peninsula, as he did in several of the Pacific Islands. Very much anticipated. They were ready for him. On a very unexpected night, 2 nights, he got every boat he could find. He went around all of that. He went up to North Korea, landed by the Yalu River, which is border with China, and left troops behind. And then he had the North Korean army in between him and wiped them out. The only way they won it was by the Chinese coming in and bringing in massive numbers of troops, and MacArthur not being allowed to go over the Yalu River to contest with them, which he would have done and quite easily destroyed. And we would not have had North and South Korea. But the communists around Truman would not allow that. But that was a great, great move. Instinct. Didn't tell anybody. Just did it. What Trump did was, whether it was planned in advance or it was a brilliant opportunistic move because all the chess pieces lined up that way, we probably will know. The president is so transparent. He'll tell us how much of this was planned, how much wasn't. We know a few things. We know he was concerned about the bond market. And his Secretary of the Treasury, Besant, and also publicly, Jamie Dimon, the head of Chase Bank, besides talking to the president and Jamie Dimon talking to the public, expressed a great deal of concern about the bond market. And the bond market is much more, has much more of an impact on the government than the stock market. If the bond market goes up, the interest rates that the government has to pay go up. And that deficit that you're talking about goes up and up and up and up, and now no more America and no more American dollar. And when he saw that, I'm sure he said, I've got to do something. And he had a couple of fortunate things that happened, or were they orchestrated? In due time, I think we'll find out. He had in his pocket somewhere between 70 and 80 requests to meet him for negotiations on rolling back the tariff to zero. That was an extraordinary number. It sounded like the whole world wanted to play along with this. The whole world thought this would be a lot better way to do business than the way in which we were, screwing each other all the time. Because even if you get away with one, they're going to get you next time. And for countries other than the United States, whose market dwarfs any other market in the world, including China, we're ultimately going to win these battles, even if we get hurt in the interim. So he had that. And then he had the extraordinary, stupid decision of China to not negotiate and retaliate. The European Union tried that modestly. I actually thought their retaliation was so meager that it should have almost been ignored. It was 6 items they raised the tariff on that would have made zero difference. But in any event, within a few hours, they changed that and said, no, we'll go along with the moratorium. So now every nation in the world is going along with the moratorium, but the most murderous, the most dishonest, the most crooked, the most brutal, the most undemocratic nation in the world, the Chinese Communist Republic, CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. And they are now imposing an 83% tariff, and he just went to 124. And he'll go to 500. He will effectively cut off any trade with them. And then if he starts doing secondary sanctions on them, he'll cut off trade for them or make it difficult for them to trade with anybody else. And I know you get a rosy picture of China from all of the people in America they have bought. They have done a fabulous job of infiltrating our media, our news, our universities. But I think Charlie Gasparino had a great little column today in which he said, we got to give credit to the bond market for giving the president this idea. Sounds like a plausible thing. It could be something else too. This could have been in the plan from the beginning. I don't know. But we're gonna track this down and find out. I don't think there's any reason why the president wouldn't be as transparent about this as he is about everything else. Now, of course, they play it this way. Trump backtracks. Trump caves. Tell me how he caved. They're asking for zero tariffs. He said from the beginning, I'm going to put tariffs on these people so I can get free and fair trade. What is he supposed to do to them if they say, we want to work out fair trade with you? Or going so far as to say, like so many of them have, we'll go to zero if you want. The European Union has said that. Bibi Netanyahu said it on international television. What is he supposed to do? Keep beating them? And he beautifully trapped China in a corner. And as a Chinese, well, I don't know if he's Chinese, the name sounds Chinese, but I saw a very disturbing switch in position from a writer from the Wall Street Journal today. And of course, I'm very, very suspicious of the Chinese influence on American journalists, on American politicians, on Americans in general. And of course, having bought a president and a vice president candidate, they'll buy anything. So we do have one thing from the Post, which I find silly, in which they say, because its central planners are now aiming at a global hegemony in manufacturing, a naked threat to every other country, national security, they have an advantage. No, they don't. Have you ever been to China? They're too damn rigid. This requires world-class flexibility to do this right. This is a John F. Kennedy, Khrushchev, a Reagan, Gorbachev, or a Trump, and who knows who else. So I would say that he never can get the credit that he deserves. This had to be one of the more brilliant moves that should be studied. That should be studied in the future by Americans in trying to find out how to deal with these things. Now, there are other barriers, and not just tariffs that affect us. And I think it's important that we take a look at those for a minute. So here, this is a little thumbnail sketch of who's important, who isn't in the game we're playing here. There it is, right up there. You see, biggest deficit. The blue are the deficits. The what would you say? Pink? It's a funny pink. Pink are the surpluses. Okay, so we have the biggest, of course, are China and EU. Surprisingly big is Vietnam, don't you think? 123 billion. That's a lot. And Malaysia is reasonable. India is reasonable for its size, particularly. South Korea, tell you, Canada's not too bad. Sorry, Mr. President. Vietnam is pretty high for a country of its size. Taiwan, understandable, given their situation. Switzerland, I don't even understand why we have a deficit with Switzerland or Malaysia. Now, here's where we have our surpluses. And you see the surpluses are all rather modest. I mean, the biggest one is 17.9 million with Australia, 11.9 with UK, 19.7 with the rest of the world, 19.5 with the UAE, 10.2 with Panama, and 77.4 with Brazil. Those are the surpluses that we have. Now, what that means is we're the biggest buying nation in the world. And China is the biggest selling nation in the world. And if we stop buying, what happens to the biggest selling nation in the world? We also happen to be, probably not even calculated correctly, the richest nation on earth. So we are several times over the best market in the world. If you lose us and we substitute for you over a period of time, given our incredible American flexibility and your incredibly equal rigidity as Chinese communists, you're going to sink. But no, the Wall Street Journal and America's in terrible shape now. This is awful. There also have been a couple that have gone to 0-0, and the president has said, I got to look into it, because there are trade barriers other than tariffs that can be as devastating as tariffs. Quotas, rules that you have to certify products in a certain way. Domestic regulations on food safety that make really no sense other than to produce graft. We know something about that, don't we? Huh? Something called a scraping tax and other taxes that become surprises along the way. So the tariff rate that we assign to a country calculated both the tariffs and the other equally onerous burdens to trade, and they both have to be removed, and we will remove them as well. It's not a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. It's a two-way street. 100% two-way street. Not at all unfair. So I would say that we're starting to see the logic of this now, and we're also starting to see what this is going to do for us long term. And of equal merit here is if they can pull off the one big beautiful bill so early, they're going to get that tax cut much faster than they got it in the first administration. And that held back a little bit of the economic records. In fact, the first big economic input came from deregulation. And then it was taxes that followed it, and then it went into the stratosphere. As you saw yesterday, stocks roared back. You might say that, right? If you want to look at that, that was yesterday. I wish it stayed that way because today it went down. So that little red thing up there where it says 4608.45, where was it today, Stephen? Down about 1,000?
Closed at 39,593.
Oh, okay. 500,000.
Down 1,000.
1,000?
Yep.
Oh, okay. What percentage?
2.5.
Okay, so up 7.87 today and down 2.15?
Yes. 2.5.
2.5, okay. Well, let's see what happens. It is the weekend, and Fridays are usually sell days. So China, which has found itself completely outfoxed in ways that have to be embarrassing to it because the rest of the world knows it. The columnists they pay off, the politicians they pay off, and the communists will not say that, but they are extremely embarrassed. They are, of course, doing what they usually do. They're increasing aggressive activities in Taiwan and putting out leaks. They're having practice sessions in the Taiwanese Strait. And they've been doing that for the last several days on a much higher basis than before. And they have, they're trying to bait Taiwan into taking aggressive action against them. There's a very good novel written about this, by the way. Sounds like it might be true. The Trump administration can find a lot of ways to deal with this, but Michael Sobolik, who is a Hudson Institute senior fellow, doesn't seem to think we can handle it. He says the Chinese Communist Party has exposed America's inability to compete effectively in the gray zone. Tell me what the gray zone is, Ted. What's the gray zone? In Michael Sobolik's head?
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's the gray matter in Michael Sobolik's head?
A question for Michael.
Yeah. A national security term meaning the contested arena that falls somewhere between routine statecraft and open warfare. So we don't know how to compete between routine statefare and open warfare. And that's going to mean that China takes over the world. Now, Sobolik, I don't know. What the hell is wrong with you? I mean, there are numerous things we can do to China to back them off. How about we throw all the Chinese students out? Now, Sobolik does recommend that. How about we take away all their visas? What the hell are we educating them for? I mean, they don't become friendly to America. They become spies here. They undermine us. Why are we educating them? They wouldn't get the kind of education there as here. We're much more creative people than they are. They're here to steal everything we got. You'd put tremendous amount of pressure on them if you said no more scholarships for Chinese students like they've been doing at Harvard since Commie Tampon Tim went over there to get trained and has gone back 30 times to teach in Beijing. Has to be working for the Chinese Communist government. They don't take you back there 30 times to teach if you're not working for the Chinese Communist government. Another sure indication is they pay him. Of course, he ran for vice president, and you didn't know that. That was kept from you by your crooked government. Well, I think we have the video. I hope we do. Of a couple of the Israeli hostages, 3 Israeli hostages that are thanked by President Trump, and then go on, lovely people they are, to mention the rest, and that the rest have to be thought about. Do we have that video?
Yeah, there should be some video. They have it. So we have the video.
Thank you very much, President Trump. I'm here, and I'm alive. President Trump, you saved my life. You saved the life of 33 hostages. That because of your efforts, and you're setting the hostage crisis at the high priority of what you're doing among all of the enormous issues and things that you're dealing with since you came into your position as President of the United States. You set the hostage crisis at the highest priority. You got 33 of us home alive. We all owe our lives to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And please continue your tremendous efforts, your tremendous actions, your tremendous accomplishments. Continue, and we'll get, with your help, all of the remaining 59 hostages still in Gaza back home.
Well, that's when you're a real president. That's what people say about you. Not like the 13 parents whose children were brutally murdered in Afghanistan due to Joe Biden, who blame him for it. That's the difference between a president who cares about the lives of Americans and a president who is thoroughly through and through a traitor. Hard to come to that conclusion. Difficult to come to that conclusion. It can jar you in a certain way, but it's important that we get jarred if we want to keep up with it. Well, Ted, I have some good news for you that you haven't been following, nor have you been giving me a hard time. But the Tigers beat the Yankees 2 out of 3.
Wow.
I don't know if you've noticed that.
No,
They won 5-0,
It's in Detroit.
6-2, and the Yankees had won 4-3. And they're off tonight, and the Yankees are headed out to. Oh no! The Giants are coming to New York.
I miss those.
So this Friday, the Giants will be there. But it looks like the Tigers have a team, Ted.
They do. Well, last year they came on strong near the end. And the only games I've caught this year were the opening series against the Dodgers, and we weren't playing very well.
Well, the Dodgers won the first 9 games.
But that love hearing this. I'm sorry about the Yankees. Too bad we didn't know. We would have wanted to watch some of that.
No.
But Yankees winning last night 4-3 after the Tigers put on 2 really good games Monday and Tuesday. Those games in Detroit.
Well, do we have the? Oh, there's a.
Some bad weather. Oh yeah, so that's another fun part about games in Detroit in
Look at that.
in April. I've been at games at I've been at Tigers games where it was snowing.
Yeah, look at that guy. He's dressed up for the winter, isn't he?
Yeah, you could see there, right? There's snow coming down. If this is from last night, or there's snow coming down. If you look closely.
The Yankees began the 1980-96 season in the snow.
Yeah.
And they ended it up in a beautiful, beautiful fall day winning the World Series.
Nice. You can take a break.
Do we have the Secretary of the Treasury? Do we have his statement today about, I think it was number 5, 29 seconds, about the 75 countries that have come to renegotiate? Do you want me to take a break and we'll go to it? No. All right.
And we saw the successful negotiating strategy that President Trump implemented a week ago today. It has brought more than 75 countries forward to negotiate. It took great courage for him to stay the course until this moment. And what we have ended up with here, as I told everyone a week ago, they're in this very spot, do not retaliate and you will be rewarded. So
it's good to see that this is now in the hands of a guy who's got lots of experience with this, right? And the whole thing is just working out much better than we possibly could have expected. Because if you're good at something like this, like even in sports, if you're good, you make your own breaks. You get breaks, but it's the pressure that you put on the other team. The pressure we put on the other nations is what's creating these things. And the pressure we're putting on China is creating the big mistakes that they are making. 75 countries have now come to renegotiate. If you get number 6, if you put up number 6, Ted, you might give you a good idea of where Xi Jinping is right now before we close out our show. Go ahead.
Number 6.
See if we can get that. Hey, Z, you like that, babes? Hey, murderer. You effing murderer. You like that? There's good old Z.
That's right, Mayor. And China's yen the yen? It's taken a 18-year low. It opened at an 18-year low.
Who did?
And the Chinese yen. So they're getting hit hard.
Well, so if you try hard, and I try real hard to try to read inside China, and I read what I can get. I get a lot of help, of course, from Epic Times, which I highly recommend, but not just them. Who they recommend helps. Later on America's Mayor Live, we'll have, I think, the singular biggest expert on China and the most balanced viewpoint, Gordon Chang. about 8:30. I would highly recommend listening to Gordon. When Gordon speaks, people should listen, particularly at this time where we're not on the verge of war with China. One of the directions this could all go in is war. It doesn't have to. You and I and Gordon and lots of people could sit here and we could scope out a series of things that would lead to war, or a series of things that wouldn't. It's all the actions that we take and reactions. And I do think we've got a much more effective, a much more flexible leadership with many more options than China. What's China's option to fixing their economy? Giving their people more money. They don't have a capitalist economy. They make believe they do. They don't. And telling them how to spend it, which is about as inefficient by 40 or 50% as you can get. They've been trying to squeeze their way out of that for 25 years, and it's just getting worse. And not a single thought of changing it. So how are they going to compete with us? And if we do work out these arrangements with the rest of the world, how they can compete with the rest of the world? I was willing to take on China with about 10 good allies. I mean, we don't need an endless number of allies. Half of them suck. So the ones that we want are the ones who can fight with us. It's like, if I'm going into a fight, I'd rather take 10 guys who know how to punch than 25 guys who are going to cry on me. So, U.S., Israel. Let's get Australia back. Hell, they are very effective as fighters. Let's get Canada back. Very effective as fighters. If the UK would get rid of the silly communists that they have running it, of course they've got a great army. France, maybe they could be in the medical corps. I think Maloney can produce for Italy probably the best army it ever had. Now we move over to countries that are highly motivated, like Hungary and Poland, Lithuania, Latvia. They are highly, highly motivated because they've just come out of communism. And now let's switch over to Japan, Taiwan. Who was the first one to offer zero? Do you remember? Please remember who the first one was to offer a zero tariff. Boys?
Vietnam.
Yep.
Vietnam.
Brilliant. Tells you something about Vietnam. The Chinese Communist president of Vietnam called the super capitalist president of the United States and said, pal, I want to go 0-0 with you. And why did he do that? Because he's a hell of a lot more afraid of China than he is the U.S. And they have been, they've been afraid of the U.S. for 100 years. They've been afraid of China for 4,000. There's a difference. Oh, and did I mention Japan? Some of the greatest warriors in the history of the world. We got to create a good, tight, reconstructed alliance, not made up of bloodsuckers, but made up of patriotic contributors. And let's get rid of this nationalism is fascism. How ridiculous is that? Nationalism is love of your country, which we don't do anymore. You listen to these kids, I mean, they hate America. And they're trained that way in the schools that you pay 50 grand to get them educated. Got to all change. Well, we'll be back tomorrow night. We'll see where things are going tomorrow night. particularly on this tariff stuff, this is going to change quickly. I mean, it change in terms of move along very, very well. And China's got to make a move here. They either have to back off or they have to get more aggressive. And let's see what happens. They can't stay where they are. So, Ted, Steve, thank you. And we're going to ask you to pray for the people of Ukraine and people of Israel and the people of Iran and the people of China. And of course, say thank you to God for what he's given us here in the greatest nation on earth. God bless America. And go over now to X at 8, and then you'll have Gordon Chang at 8:30, and then you'll find out everything you want to know about China.